Playbook podcast, your mom's favorite podcast. I am your host, your favorite Yapperina, Sam Downs. Well, that was a phenomenal start to the NFL regular season. Oh, my Lanta. I lived for it all. Okay, the first game, Eagles versus the Cowboys, was there's literally everything that you want to see in a football game. So let's just get right into it. We're going to recap week one and then over what picks I was right about, what I was wrong about. And then we will go into my predictions for week two. I'm so excited. Okay, so first off, I went 12 and 16 for my picks. Okay. And the ones that I lost were very close, besides the Lions game. The Lions and the Packers game actually surprised me. But the other ones, they were like 1 point, 2 point, 3-pointer games. So that made me feel better, I guess. We'll start off the first game that kicked off regular season, and that is the Eagles versus the Cowboys. Also, the most dramatic game of them all. Literally during kickoff, Ben Van Sermon, I think I'm saying that wrong, so pardon me, I'm terrible with last names. He had a potential season-ending knee injury. And I really do feel so bad for Ben because it was literally during kickoff and he gets carted off. While he was getting carted off, the Cowboys and the Eagles were kind of congregated right there in the middle, right, with the refs and everything. And the media didn't show this, like the TV didn't show this. I didn't see this until later. But Dak and Jalen Carter, the Eagles' number one defensive player, by the way, he is like literally the oil to the machine that is the Eagles' defense. They were exchanging some words, and then Dak spit right near his feet, and that's their home turf. I understand that like men spit or whatever, but towards a man's foot, that's disrespectful. That is poor sportsmanship, no matter how you look at it. Then Jalen spits directly at Dak, and then Jalen gets ejected from the game. Later in the press conference, Dak was like, oh, I spit all the time. It just happened. It wasn't directed towards him. I don't believe that for a single second. Like, I am the biggest bullshitter in the entire universe, and you're full of shit, okay? You meant to spit towards Jalen, and Jalen was the only one that got ejected from the game. I believe that both should have been ejected from the game. And maybe the refs just didn't see Dak spit at him first. That's what I'm hoping. But I wonder if that's the case and if they saw Dak spit at him first, if they would have also ejected Dak from the game as well. So that was an awful start for the Eagles D-line. And aside from Dak's poor sportsmanship, he threw 21 passes out of 34 attempts. He kind of did surprise me, honestly. They were neck and neck. They only lost by 3 points. It was 24-21 Eagles. So it did surprise me. So he led CD Lamb to a touchdown on the first drive, and Lamb was completing every pass. Second drive was another passing touchdown. Now, Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, definitely outshined Dak Prescott by a long shot, scoring himself a touchdown on their first drive. And on the second drive was quite literally escaping every single blitz. And he was just sliding, running to the first downs, running at first down to first down to first down. And then again, he scored another touchdown for the second touchdown of the game. Now, the Eagles were also on George Pickens' ass, okay? That dude cannot, I think he had like one catch I think that was out of 4 passes that were one completion out of 4. So they were definitely on George Pickens. And if you know me, you know I have a soft spot for George Pickens. He's an absolute menace. He also caused penalties too as well. He's just a menace, and I love him for that. That's just him. So with the Eagles, really on their man-to-man coverage and especially on George Pickens, that resulted the Eagles to have to make a field goal, which they did. So the Eagles led 17-14 with just the Cowboys trailing behind just by a field goal. And there was minutes left of the first half, right? And on the second drive, the next drive, Saquon completed all the passes, leading them ahead of the Cowboys into a touchdown, 21-17. And with seconds left until halftime, on Dallas's final drive, Pickens finally completed his first pass of the game and successfully scurried into field goal range, and they kicked a field goal. So then it was a 1-point game, 21-20 Eagles. Now, the rest of the game was a disaster for the Cowboys. That's all the points they scored. And some would say for the Eagles too. Both teams did really well with defense. Not going to lie. Because an entire quarter, neither of them score unless a field goal. That's pretty good defensively. So CD Lamb decided to eat a Butterfinger halftime in the locker room, and that's what happened because he dropped literally every single pass after that. It was insane. But the Eagles won 24-21, which I predicted. And honestly, I did predict like a field goal game for the Cowboys. I did not expect, them to go so hard. But I think after the spitting incident, that it really just fired up Dak. And who knows, maybe Dak is back. I saw a little glimmer of what we used to see in Dak back in the days. We'll have to see. Now, players to keep up for and to maybe put in your player props or here are some on the Eagles. Start off with Jalen Hurts, the best one of possibly the week, quarterback wise. 82% completion rate, 19 out of 23 passes for 152 yards rushing. He carried the ball 14 times for 62 yards, scoring 2 rushing touchdowns. Now, Saquon Barkley rushed for 18 times for 60 yards, scoring 1 rushing touchdown. And Jahan Dotson led the Eagles 59 receiving yards. And on the Eagles defensive side, rookie Jahad Campbell really got the game-changing fumble, giving himself a top-graded rookie performance of the week. And then next, we'll skip ahead to obviously my favorite game of the week, and that was the Bills versus the Ravens game. If you watched my vlog, it is on. I should upload it onto YouTube, but it is on TikTok. So it was an emotional roller coaster, to say the least, and the biggest comeback in a very long time. Since it was like a Brady-esque style comeback. The Bills won by a field goal. It was 41-40, and both teams played very well. And I have a soft spot for the Ravens. I have a soft spot for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I know that that's technically a rival of ours, but I do have so much love and respect for Lamar Jackson. And I think it's very mutual between him and Josh Allen. And since our kicker, one of the best kickers in the league, possibly now the best kicker in the league, Tyler Bass, is injured, here comes our savior, Matt Prater. He's been in the NFL since 2005, and we haven't seen him in a few years, but he got the call. Josh Allen said, I met him in the locker room 2 days ago, and he showed me a video of his son playing quarterback. How proud do you think his son, Matt Prater's son, and their teammates are of their coach? It just so sweet. And now he is a legend in Buffalo. He'll be getting free pizza and wings no matter where he goes. So literally don't expect to pay for anything because you are cool. You are good in Buffalo. And he won us the game. And it was an 81-point game. Is insane. The game started off pretty rough for the Buffalo Bills. Early in the first quarter, the Ravens led with a 15-point lead, and 3 minutes left of the fourth quarter, an insane catch that was meant for Matt Milano got tipped off by the Ravens defense, but cinematically fell into the hands of Keon Coleman. Wow, Coleman had a great night too as well. And then 1 minute and 58 seconds left of the fourth, Josh ran the ball in for a touchdown. The score was 40-38 Ravens. But the Bills recovered the ball on a fumble, creating a turnover, and that was it. Once I saw that, I was like, we're going to win this thing. And then here comes out Matt Prater, kicks in the field goal. Before that, well, I'm getting too ahead of myself. Seconds left of the fourth quarter. They're all like scurrying into formation. Josh fucking throws it into field goal range. And then they get into field goal range. Out comes Matt Prater, kicks it beautifully for a 32-yard field goal, winning the game by just 1 point. 41-40 Bills. What a cinematic ending to that game. And it was literally a fight to the death. And I got that game right. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm always going to pick the Bills, but there are some cases where I won't pick the Bills, or I just will I'll opt to not put them in my parlay. But I just want to say real quick, this is our official mascot. This is Lou. He's a little dirty, but that's just the luck, okay? And every time I wear him, every time he's close to my body, the Bills win. So, Bills fans, this is our official mascot, Lou. I gave him a grill, and he's going to sit right here. He's going to sit right there. Right there. And word on the street is that fans started ushering out of the stadium, and poor Josh Allen was like, I know some fans left, just have some faith next time. But yeah, can you imagine how sick they are that they didn't see that amazing final ending? Oh my God, I'd be so mad. First of all, I had so much FOMO not even being there. I would never just leave my team behind, even if they were down like 40 points. I don't give a shit. I'm staying there till the end. I'm going to support my team. But Allen finished with an outstanding 394 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and he set a franchise record for rushing touchdowns, surpassing Thurman Thomas, which was he was also at that game. It was so cute. And another honorable mention is Ed Oliver of our star defensive player of this game, with 6 tackles, 1 sack, 3 pressures, and 1 forced fumble that overturned for the fourth quarter win. So shout out to him. And 34 snaps on defense. He on fire. At Oliver, you're cool as hell, fam. What a game. Okay, so the stars of the week in Buffalo, again, like I said, Josh Allen completed 33 out of 46 passes, 394 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and scored himself 2 rushing touchdowns. Keon motherfucking Coleman, that's my boy. 8 receptions with 112 receiving yards and scoring that one insane one-handed touchdown. That was crazy. Ed Oliver, again, 6 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and 1 forced fumble. Matt Prater completed every single field goal that was meant for, and obviously won us the game. Honorable mention is Dalton. He caught 4 passes for 48 yards with a crucial touchdown. So shout out to Dalton too as well. For the Ravens, Lamar Jackson threw for 209 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, almost a perfect completion rate, 70 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. Derrick Henry, insane, 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. Whoever has him on their fantasy, oh my Lanta. Zay Flowers, 7 receptions for 143 yards and 1 touchdown. So I had an anytime touchdown to Zay. I had an anytime touchdown Josh Allen, anytime touchdown Cook, and that hit. I got $120. So that was pretty cool. Honorable mention is DeAndre Hopkins completed a one-handed 29-yard touchdown catch. That was insane. For the defense, Raekwon Smith, Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, and Kay Van Hoy, Mike Green for the Ravens defense. They played well. However, they allowed Buffalo to score 41 points and vice versa. The Buffalo's defense allowed them to score 40 points. So there you have it. Now, the Chargers versus the Chiefs. This was our Brazilian game. So every year, obviously, we travel to another country, and the NFL chose Brazil this time. So it was the Chiefs versus the Chargers. I got, again, correct on this game. I chose the Chargers. And thank God it was 27-21 final game. First drive, Justin Herbert was on fire. My little Sherbert. And on his first drive was a passing touchdown. And on the next drive, the Chargers defense stopped the Chiefs, creating a turnover. Insane. And the Chargers defense just kept stopping them during every single drive and the first quarter and early in the second quarter as well. It was 10-0 Chargers until 4 minutes left of the second quarter, and then they finally kicked a field goal and gave them 3 points, making it a touchdown game. With 45 seconds left until halftime, the Chiefs stopped the Chargers, resulting in a field goal. However, the Chiefs still had 40 seconds left. And the Chiefs impressed me by rapidly making into formation and then into free goal range and successfully scored a field goal. So it was very close at halftime. In the second half, honorable mention is when the Chargers defensive player Tart bitch slapped Travis Kelce. And I mean, listen, I don't support like poor sportsmanship and unsportsmanlike conduct and stuff, but when it's against a team I hate, I kind of have a little bit more lenience to, and it was just really funny. It was funny, but it wasn't, okay? Because if anyone did that to Josh Allen, I would fly to their state. Not even kidding. But Travis Kelce, he's okay. He'll be fine. So that was the most drama-filled game, I would say. But Mahomes made it to the red zone and ran it in, almost tying, but their kicker missed the extra point. And Herbert was aflame. He was aflame and scored his first rushing touchdown, but were unsuccessful in the 2-point conversion, making it a 2-point game, 2018 Chargers. Next drive, the Chargers score, making it 27-18. Mahomes threw an insane pass, getting them into the red zone, but the Chargers defense stopped them and resulted in another field goal, making it 27-21 Chargers. But there was some time left, but they just took a knee, and that ended the game. So, star players for the Chargers in the offense: Justin Herbert threw for 318 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. Quentin Johnston, 5 receptions for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns. Keenan Allen, 7 receptions for 8 yards and 1 touchdown. Defense, Derwin James really stepped it up with the man-to-man coverage. I was really impressed with him. And 91.4 pass blocking grade, which is great. Patrick Mahomes threw 24 out of 29 passing for 258 yards, 1 passing touchdown and 1 rushing touchdown. Hollywood Brown, these names sometimes, caught 10 passes for 99 yards, which is great. Nothing on the defense because, well, there was nothing impressive. But Xavier Worthy did get injured, and we'll have to see how that plays out into week 2. So for the rest of the game, I'm just recapping and doing like players of the week, and so you can do your player props or whatever. And this, because it will literally take me years if I recap the way I did with every single team. I watched every game's highlights, and if I didn't watch it in real time, which I watched a lot of the games in real time because I was flipping back and forth with my Superbox, no network blackouts. I was able to watch literally every single game.
This episode is brought to you by Superbox. Question: how many subscriptions are you actually paying for right now? Netflix, Hulu, cable, sports package, that random trial you always forget to cancel. Yeah, it all adds up. Now imagine if you could 86 all of that, watch every single game, yes, every single game, even the ones outside of your network, plus every channel and every streaming service all in one place for a fraction of what you're paying for now. That's exactly what Superbox does. No blackout restrictions, no overpriced bundles, and my favorite part, you can cancel all those other subscriptions you've been wasting money on. Just plug it in, connect it to your Wi-Fi, and butter my ass and call me a biscuit. You got every game and channel. And now you can stay up to date in real time with your bets in fantasy leagues, or text your buddies and make fun of them for losing on their fantasy leagues. All you do is pay for the box and that's it. No subscription fees ever. Superbox. More games, more channels, more freedom. Right now, our listeners get an exclusive deal. Click the link in the description of the show and use code GET20SUPER for 20% off your Superbox today. Stop paying more for less. With Superbox, you'll never miss a game again. Click the link in the description to get yours today.
Okay, and now to the Colts versus the Dolphins. They absolutely schmurdered them. Absolutely. And it was 33 Colts. And what pissed me off the most is when Tua took zero accountability in the press conference. He blamed it literally on everyone and his dog. And it was just insane. Literally, you are the leader, Tua. You take responsibility for your actions because you are the reason why they didn't put up any points. Oh, actually, they put up one. They put up one touchdown. That's it. Tua, that's on you. That's on you, bro. But it was mistake after mistake. 14 out of 23 passes for 114 yards. Only one touchdown, but had two interceptions. A passer rating of 51.7. Terrible. That's on you. And I think actually he was the worst in week one. I have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure he was the Dolphins were absolute trash, and they need a new quarterback and a new head coach. Because every time he wears those stupid sunglasses, I just want to slap him off his face because he's hiding the sucking behind, like he's shielding his face with these stupid like fuck boy sunglasses, and I just want to slap him off his face and off his head every time I see him wear them. Oh my god, it's so annoying. But here are some start players. Let's start off obviously with the Colts quarterback. He made his debut. Daniel Jones completed 22 out of 29 passes for 272 yards and a touchdown. Rookie Tyler Warren, 7 out of 9 receptions for 7 yards. Offensive guard Matt Conglaves was the only let one pressure on 34 pass blocking snaps. And the Dolphins, nothing. Literally nothing good to say about the Dolphins. Nothing. And I guess right about the Steelers versus the Jets. This was a close game, though. It was 34-32 Steelers. I just knew Aaron Rodgers was just ready to step up. He was going back into the Jets stadium, and he just wanted to show out. He knew that people were going to be booing him, and, you know, he left kind of on bad terms. So I just knew that he was going to show out, and that he did. Okay. It was like people woke up in a coma, and they're like, oh my God, is this 2010? What is happening right now? But he was really feeling himself. So for the Steelers, we're going to go into players. Aaron Rodgers threw 4 touchdown passes, 2 in the span of 50 seconds during the second half. That's insane. 22 out of 30 passes for 244 yards. DK Metcalf, my boy, made 4 receptions for 83 yards. The Jets quarterback Justin Fields completed 22 out of 29 passes and for 272 yards, 1 passing touchdown, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Brees Hall rushed 19 times for 107 yards. Next, I got right was the Jaguars beating the Panthers. That was obvious. 26-10. There's really nothing nice to say about Bryce Young. I'm sorry. Trevor Lawrence, 19 out of 31 passes, so for 178 yards. So, you know, there could be some improvement there. But 1 touchdown, threw for 1 interception, though, but got 4 rushing yards and 4 carries, so an honorable mention there. But for the star of the show was Travis Etienne. Sorry if I said that wrong. Rushed for 143 yards on 16 carries, including an insane 71-yard run. So whoever has him on their fantasy, that's crazy. And for the Panthers, just some stats to keep in mind for next week, because obviously they didn't do well at all, but 18 out of 35 passes for 154 yards, a single touchdown. That was for Bryce Young. Okay. Next, Cardinals versus the Saints. I was right on this one too. The Cardinals beat the Saints 2013. Cardinals, they started Kyler Murray, and he completed 22 out of 31 passes for 210 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. Not bad. Marvin Harrison Jr. caught 6 passes, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Now, James Carter, 15 carries and for 60 yards. Their defense was solid and remained consistent, allowed the Saints only 295 yards in total, and literally sacked Spencer Rattler 5 times. Yeah, 5 times. For the Saints, Spencer Rattler, he threw for 220 yards, only 1 touchdown, and threw 1 interception. So Alvin Kamara, he used for 70 yards with 1 touchdown. Honorable mention was Johnson, caught 8 passes for 76 yards, but still had some drama with 3 passes because they were all contested. Those 3 catches were contested. Now, the defense sacked Kyler Murray also 5 times as well, but they did struggle with tackles and with 0 coverage on 3rd downs, allowing the Cardinals to put up 20 points. So that's something they need to work on. Now, the Giants versus the Commanders. Again, I was right on the Commanders winning. They ate their meals for the entire week. It was 21-6 in the second battle of the NFC East this week. Commanders, Jaden Daniels, he led the Commanders offense and completed 19 out of 30 passes. So not perfect, but for 233 yards, we'll take it for one rushing touchdown. Deebo Samuel got a touchdown with 85 receiving yards. And rookie Jackery Croskett Merritt did a 6-yard rush touchdown. And the Commanders defense were great, only giving the Giants 231 total yards and a blocking touchdown. So obviously they suck, but here are some, stats for the Giants just to keep in mind for next week. Dinosaur Russell Wilson. Oh my God, I hate him so much. Of course, he cracked under pressure like cold pavement in Buffalo, New York. 17 out of 37 passes completed, 168 yards with 0 touchdowns. Anyways, their defense, dog water. Terrible. They let the Commanders run circles and pirouettes over them, okay? And gave up a total of 432 yards. Didn't block a single touchdown. Terrible. Versus the Falcons. This was the first game I was wrong on, but it was very close. I thought the Falcons were going to win, but the Bucs traveled to Atlanta. That's what I really thought. I was like, they got the home field advantage, but I wasn't really sure on that one because, Baker Mayfield, he likes to show out. Now for Tampa Bay, rookie Emeka, I'm not even going to attempt to say his last name. I'm sorry, guys. Immediately caught 4 passes for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. Including their game-winning touchdown in the final minutes of the fourth quarter. Haason Reddick, he ranked top in the league week 1 for pass rush rate, 7 quarterback pressures, and 22.6% pass rush rate. Great job for him. And finally, safety Antoine Winfield kicked the ball away from the Falcons receiver, blocking their potential game-winning touchdown in the final seconds of the game, therefore leading the Bucs to victory. Now here goes for the Falcons side. Penix threw for 298 yards and a touchdown and a rushing touchdown. So not terrible at all. Pretty good, pretty solid. Robinson caught 6 passes for 100 yards. Was a great target for Penix. So with 7 pass completions for 59 yards. Kyle Pitts, honorable mention, also showed a great target for Penix. 7 pass completions for 59 yards. Now let's go into the Bengals versus the Browns. This is a game I was also right about. It was close though. I was biting my toenails, okay? It was 17-16 Bengals, and Joe Burrow showed signs of struggle, and it kind of has me worried. But they started off strong with scoring a 5-yard rushing touchdown and finished 75% of offensive snaps. So not terrible, but also not a good start for Joe Burrow. 14 out of 23 completions and only 13 passing yards, 1 touchdown. The rest goes for the defense, really. Trey Hendrickson put constant pressure on Flacco, 41.7% pass rush win rate. Insane. DJ Turner got his first career interception. Safety Jordan Battle gained another Bengals interception. Then their kicker was a 1-point, the straw that broke the Browns' back. Okay, there we go. For the Browns, rookie tight end Harold Fannin caught 7 passes. Rookie Dylan Sampson, 93 total yards with 9 receptions. Quarterback Joe Flacco threw for 290 yards and a touchdown, but had 2 interceptions and obviously created more turnovers, more issues for the Browns. So for the defense, Carson Schwarzenegger led the Browns D in snaps, 8 tackles, and a quarterback hit. Now, for the Raiders versus the Patriots, I got this one again. Raiders beat the Patriots 20-13, and that was Pete Carroll literally made, and also Chip Kelly, shout out to Chip Kelly too. They made some amazing play calls. So for the Raiders, Geno Smith threw for an amazing debut for 362 yards, 1 touchdown. Ashton Gentry's debut scored his first time touchdown of his NFL career, showing versatility with also a 3-yard rush that resulted in a Raiders lead. Kicker Daniel Carson was arguably the star of the show, completing 3 field goals, which including a 51-yard field goal. And Max, gotta give him his flowers, man. I always gotta give Max his flowers. So many pressures that helped create turnovers. That he was great. I love Max, and I love that he stuck it out even when the Raiders sucked. He is stucking it out, and now he is the flowers bloom, and I'm really happy for him because he deserves it. For the Patriots, Drake May definitely struggled with 1 touchdown, threw for 182 yards. Just not consistent enough for the East Division. He's just not consistent at all. That's all I have to say about the Patriots. So for the 49ers versus the Seahawks, I was wrong about this one, but close. 49ers won 17-13. Unfortunately, both teams have sustained some injuries, including Kittle. And this early in the season, really sad. But here are the 49ers key performers. Purdy, he had a shoulder and toe injury. Better call a tow truck, Brock. He completed 26 out of 35 passes for 277 yards, 2 touchdowns, but also had 2 interceptions.
Rookie Jake Tangers got the game-winning touchdown and caught 3 passes in the fourth. For defense, Nick Bosa all the way, baby. He had an amazing strip sack and a fumble recovery that would have won the Seahawks the game. For the Seahawks, Sam Darnold, 21 out of 30 passes, threw for 150 yards, but ultimately was colorblind and could not complete anything in the red zone. Honorable mention, he did do a good job with clock management, however, and running down the clock. So that's good. Now, Wookie wide receiver Jackson Smith got 124 receiving yards, 9 receptions. So that can be a potential secret weapon for Sam Darnold. My cat is literally going at it at this carpet. But like I said, there are injuries listed. And Kittle, hamstring injury, that he'll be out for several weeks. And Purdy had a shoulder and a toe injury. So he may not be playing in next week's game against the Saints. So the Titans versus the Broncos, I was right about this one. The Broncos beat the Titans 2012. That was a good year. Just kidding. It was a terrible year. Broncos defense were the real star of the show. 6 sacks, forcing multiple turnovers, only giving the Titans 133 total yards and only giving them 2 out of 14 completions on third downs. Bo Nix did okay by completing 18 of 28 passes for 150 yards and 1 touchdown. Again, still needs an improvement, but because the Titans defense, they ran a tight game really well ultimately. A.K. Dobbins got a 19-yard touchdown run. Cortland Sutton caught a 22-yard touchdown pass. And for the Titans, they struggled offensively. They really did. Rookie Cam Ward only completed 12 out of 28 passes for 112 yards, 0 touchdowns, and lost 1 fumble, and he was sacked 6 times. Oof, not a good one. And that's really all I have to say about the Titans. Now, for the Lions versus the Packers, I thought for sure the Lions were going to take this one, but, you have to really consider the offseason changes. They lost their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator. It really is showing in the team. And I hoped it would be the Lions' year this year. It is only week 1, however, but I really hope that they're able to step it up and, show some leadership that was outside of their, offensive and defensive coordinator of last year. Jordan Love, quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, has really showed some improvement since last season. And, so the Packers won 27-13 over the Lions. And that was the least close game I got. Like, that one was really, really bad. Okay. For the Packers, Jordan Love, 2 touchdown passes, completed 72.7% of his throws, including 48-yard pass touchdown to Romeo Doubs. Jaden Reed caught a 17-yard touchdown pass. Josh Jacobs added a 3-yard rushing touchdown, honorable mention. Micah Parsons debuted on the defensive side. He got a Goff sack. Also, Rashawn Gray got his 40th career sack, and Evan Williams caught a Goff interception. And it was a struggle bus for the Lions, and I feel it was so hard to watch. I had to turn it off, I'm not going to lie. Jared Goff finally showed some signs of life and got a touchdown in the fourth quarter, but, they struggled throughout the entire game, and that wasn't enough to win them the game. Jahmyr Gibbs caught 10 passes, only 31 yards. They were really on them. Same with David Montgomery. They were really on them with their man-to-man coverage, so their defense did great. Now, the Texans versus the Rams, it was a close 5-point game, but I got this game correct with the Rams beating the Texans. Matthew Stafford became the 10th quarterback in the league to surpass 60,000 career passing yards and passed for 245 yards and a touchdown. And Puka was consistently Stafford's target, and he got 10 receptions for 130 yards. Honorable mention is Nate Landman forced a peanut punch that was recovered by another Rams defensive player, and this play sealed the Texans' fate. Houston, CJ Stroud showed a challenging start, completing only 19 of 24 passes for only 182 yards with no touchdowns and 1 interception. So their kicker was the star of the Texans, putting up 3 field goals. Finally, last and final for week 1 was the Vikings versus the Bears, and I was so close on this one, but the Vikings came out on top, 27-24. The Bears came out strong, but forgot the games don't end in the third quarter. There's still another quarter. And I don't know what happened with Caleb Williams in the fourth quarter, but he completely got out of the game. And the lead was 17-6 going into the fourth quarter, Bears. But the Vikings made a comeback, probably the second best comeback. J.J. McCarthy's NFL debut was a rough start, but he did complete 13 out of 20 passes for 143 yards through 2 touchdowns and a 14-yard rushing touchdown in the fourth quarter to make Minnesota Vikings the second greatest comeback in week 2. Justin Jefferson, the Bears defense did a great job stopping him, but he still led the Vikings with 4 receptions for 44 yards and a touchdown. So not too much there for Justin Jefferson. But Aaron Jones, 68 rushing yards and 27-yard touchdown reception. Caleb completed 21 out of 35 passes for 210 yards, 1 touchdown, 58 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, no interceptions. But in the fourth quarter, he really cracked under pressure and missed those crucial passes that could have won him the game. So he really needs to step it up. The Bears defense really showed out, but ultimately couldn't stop the Vikings in the fourth. Jermaine Dexter gave McCarthy's first sack in his career. Nashawn Wright intercepted a pass from McCarthy and returned it 74 yards for a touchdown in the third quarter. That was crazy. Jonathan Owens stopped the Vikings for their 2-point conversion attempt, but again, it didn't stop the Vikings from the overall win through the last quarter. Again, I went 12-16 in week 1. 4 wrong, but still better than the NFL average of the analysts, so I feel better about myself. There we go. Here are my picks for week 2 of the NFL, kicking off Thursday Night Football on 9/11. We have the Commanders versus the Packers. Both teams are coming into week 2 from a win on week 1, and to be honest, I would say as of right this moment, the teams are pretty equal. But I do believe Jaden Daniels is a little bit more experienced, and their O-line's a little bit more experienced, and it has more skill set than Jordan Love, okay? Packers have home field advantage again and are favored by 4 points, which I think is crazy. I'm going to Commanders on this one because there was some 2 offensive line starters that are questionable. Zach Tom and Aaron Banks, both are listed as do not participate for practice, so we'll have to see. But I'm going for the Commanders on week 2. Giants versus the Cowboys. This is a tough one. My cat is freaking out. This is a tough one because I think both teams are equally offensively, but both show unpredictability. But since the Cowboys have home field advantage and the Cowboys are favored by 6 points, I must agree with the favorite here, but I don't agree with the 6 point. I don't believe they'll win by 6 points. Seahawks versus the Steelers. The Steelers are coming into a win, and the Seahawks are coming into week 2 from a loss. So Steelers are playing at home. However, I feel like Aaron Rodgers is one of the most unpredictable quarterbacks in the league currently, but their defense is their saving grace. That is, if some of their defensive players are cleared from injury from week 1. Steelers are still favored by a 3-point lead, and I'm going to disagree with the favorite here. However, it may change Thursday's final injury report, but I'm honestly not confident about this game. This one could go either way, but I'm going to go against the favorite and go pick the Seahawks to take it in week 2. Rams versus Titans. Cam Ward really, really struggled in his NFL debut against a seasoned quarterback, Matthew Stafford. And head coach Sean McVay, I'm sure going to go with the Rams on this one. So sorry to go out with the favorite, but not over a 6-point lead like the spread says, but I think the Rams will beat the Titans in Tennessee. Okay, we have the Bills versus the Jets. Obviously, the Bills. Hello. Again, this is going to be a battle in the AFC East. I'm biased, obviously, but their stellar performance in week 1, and we obviously made some mistakes defensively, and we allowed the Ravens to put up 40 points. I still think the Jets are still working out their kinks with their new quarterback and their new coaching staff and everything, and experienced Bills O-line and really experienced D-line too as well. Bills all the way. Patriots versus the Dolphins. This one literally can go either way because I feel like both teams, Tua and their O-line, they're experienced, but Drake May is basically a rookie, really. But I just don't know. The Dolphins are playing at home. The Dolphins are favored, but I'm gonna have to say the Patriots on this one. Jaguars versus the Bengals. Man, this is gonna be a good game, and I think the Bengals are favored. Yeah, the Bengals are favored. They're playing at home, and however, Burrow took 5 sacks last game. But their saving grace was their defense by forcing 2 turnovers. So in my opinion, I'm going with the Bengals. 49ers versus the Saints. 49ers, even though, they have some injuries reported, I still am going to go with the 49ers. I hate to go with the favorite again, but I'm going with the Niners on week 2. Browns versus the Ravens. Ravens, considering the Browns made an awful performance in week 1. Oh my God. Even though both teams are coming into week 2 from a loss, the Ravens did put up 40 points against the Buffalo Bills. And I'm just going to say the Ravens are favored by 11 points in my region. I don't think the Browns are going to come and beat the Ravens at home. Ravens for sure. Bears versus the Lions. This one, another one is iffy for me, but the Bears are favored by 6 points, which is kind of crazy. But I know a loss on week 1 for the Lions was it has their team hyped up. And since they'll be playing at Ford Field, it's a home game for the Lions. I think that the Lions are going to take this one, but Goff really needs to get it the fuck together. I know that they lost, their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator, but he really needs to step it up, get rid of the ball as fast as possible because the Bears' blitzes are insane. They're insane, and they're pretty impressive with their defense overall. Even the man-to-man coverage down the field, they're great. But I think the Lions really just need to put week 1 behind them. And if they do that, they can pull through with a win on week 2. Broncos versus the Colts. Now, this is another game. Oh, that's questionable. I hate to say this for me, but Bo Nix did not really play well last week, while the Colts played very well. Although both teams are coming in from week 2 from a win, the Broncos are favored by 2 points. But since the Colts are playing at home, I'm going to go with the Colts. I'm going with the Colts in week 2. Okay, we have the Panthers versus the Cardinals. Cardinals. Bryce Young needs to just retire already. He needs to retire early. There's really nothing constructive to say other than they're favored by 7 points in my region and they're playing at home. So yeah, Cardinals. I'm sorry. I have to go with the favorite. I just do. Eagles versus the Chiefs. We have a Super Bowl rematch, baby. Chiefs are coming in from a loss and Eagles a close win from the Cowboys, and the Eagles have a slight favorite, but Xavier Worthy is potentially out on injury. So again, I'm going to have to see on Thursday, but my gut is telling me to go with the Eagles, even though they're playing at Arrowhead Stadium. I don't know. But again, this is one that I wouldn't put all across my parlays. I'm not so confident on. So I'm not too sure about that one. But I'm going with the Eagles. Falcons versus the Vikings. The Falcons just lost against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Vikings just won against the Bears. But Penix is more experienced than McCarthy. The Vikings are playing at home, so I want to say the Vikings, but something is telling me the Falcons will take this one. Again, another one I'm reluctant, but going with the Falcons, okay? Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Houston Texans. Now, the Bucs, for sure, they're favored, but for good reason, okay? They are playing in Houston. This will be interesting. But overall, experienced O-line against CJ Stroud. I'm going with the Bucs to get this in week 2. That's easy for me. Chargers versus the Raiders. Now, another great game in week 2. Both teams are coming in from winners from week 1. Chargers have a 3-point favorite, but the Raiders playing at home. I think the Raiders with the new coaching staff, I have faith in the Raiders. I really do this year. And I think they'll beat the odds. So I'm going with the Ravers on this one. Maybe we'll see an overtime game on that one too. Who knows? And that is it for my picks for week 2. And for the hate comment segment, I didn't have any hate comments this week. Did I do a good enough job this week to not get hate comments? I don't know, but it was nothing but love. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the love too. And even to my own videos for the Bills winning against the Ravens on my side of TikTok, IG, YouTube Shorts, nothing but love from Ravens fans. I feel like it's a mutual love. And when it's not, it's just people pitting Lamar Jackson against Josh Allen. And it really pisses me off. I can't fucking stand it. I hate that shit. Because then it becomes a race thing, and it makes my stomach hurt. But you guys, thank you so much for listening to episode 6. Come back next week for episode 7 to see what picks I got correct. And I will, if you want to follow me on all my socials, I will be doing a player props video, players to look out for. Even I'll go more into depth of what I did right now. And also like and subscribe if you are watching this on YouTube. It really helps me. Also subscribe on Apple or Spotify podcasts. If you guys are listening to this, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. My listeners just keep going up. They're slowly going up, but I don't mind the slow climb. If you just keep putting yourself out there and keep trying, keep putting out content, keep putting your heart and soul into it, and then people will see it, and people are attracted to those that really want it for themselves, and they want to see other people succeed generally. Thank you so much for listening and or watching this episode. Be easy and or sleazy.